It started with footsteps in the hallway. Light, rhythmic, confident. Alice had grown so used to the dull hum of background noise in her house, her mother's constant phone calls, her father's news playing in the living room, and of course, Sophia's voice, always animated, always commanding attention. But these footsteps were different. They had weight, purpose. They belonged to someone who wasn't from this house. Someone who didn't move like they were trying to fit into the space, but like the space would adjust for them. Alice was upstairs in her room, curled against the window frame, sketchbook on her knees, headphones in but no music playing. She liked pretending to be immersed in something else. It gave her the luxury of observing without being noticed. She peeked out of the curtain just in time to see her sister open the front door. And then she saw her, Louise. There was a stillness to her, the kind that didn't come from awkwardness, but from self-possession. She was tall, dressed in black, her leather jacket slung over one shoulder like it had grown tired of clinging to her skin. Her dark hair was tucked into a loose braid, and her lips curled into something between a smirk and a secret. Alice didn't know how long she stared before Sophia called out, "Alice, come down. Louise is here." Her stomach dropped. Her name. Her sister never called for her when friends were over. Not unless she needed something, like a charger, or an excuse to end a conversation. Still, she went. The living room was glowing with late afternoon sunlight, and Louise stood in the center, like she belonged to the shadows that hadn't reached the corners yet. She turned, and for the first time, their eyes met. "Alice," Sophia said, walking toward the kitchen, "this is Louise. She just moved back to town. We were best friends in middle school, remember?" No, Alice didn't. She was always the kid in the background, the extra in the Sophia show. But she nodded. "Hi." Louise smiled, and the world shifted. It was subtle, but undeniable. Her smile wasn't warm or friendly or polite. It was knowing. Like she saw something in Alice she wasn't supposed to see. Like she wasn't just looking at her, she was reading her. "You draw?" Louise asked, glancing at the sketchbook still clutched in Alice's hand. "Sometimes," Alice said quickly, hugging it to her chest. "I'd love to see sometime," she said, her voice soft but deep, rich in a way that felt like velvet brushing against skin. Sophia laughed from the kitchen. "Louise is being too nice. She always is." She'd compliment a trash can if it smiled at her. Louise's eyes didn't leave Alice's. Only the beautiful ones. It was nothing. A flirt, maybe. A joke. Alice knew girls like Louise didn't mean those things. Not to girls like her. But still, her heart was pounding too fast, and when she tried to answer, the words stuck to the roof of her mouth. That night, Alice couldn't sleep. She replayed the way Louise stood, the way she spoke, the way her gaze lingered for just a second too long. There was something strange about her. Not just in the way she looked, pale but luminous, like moonlight trapped in human form, but in the way the air seemed to change when she entered a room. Like it got colder and hotter at the same time. Like the house stopped breathing for a moment to make space for her. They started coming over more often after that. Louise and Sophia. Always in the late afternoon. Never in the morning. Alice noticed. But she didn't ask. At first, their interactions were small. A shared glance over dinner. A comment about the book Alice was reading. One evening, while Sophia was on the phone, Louise leaned over and whispered, "You have a very old soul. It's written in your eyes." Alice had flushed so deeply she'd had to pretend to go get water, just to cool her face. Then came the night it changed. It was raining. The kind of rain that made the world smell like metal and leaves. Sophia had gone upstairs to change for a party, leaving Alice alone in the living room with Louise. The TV was on low. Some crime documentary neither of them was really watching. "I like this house," Louise said, sitting back on the couch like she belonged there. "It's full of memories." Alice tilted her head. "You haven't been here that long." "I mean the kind that stick to walls," she said. "Like ghosts." "You believe in ghosts." "I believe in what people leave behind," she said, and her smile didn't reach her eyes. "Memories. Feelings. Regret. It stays." Alice nodded slowly. unsure how to respond. But Louise shifted, turning to face her fully. "You're not like her," she said quietly. "Sophia?" Louise nodded. "You're quieter, but not empty. You feel everything. It's like it's pouring out of you all the time, and you're trying to hold it all in." Alice stared. She felt naked. Not in the physical sense, but in that terrifying, soul-level way of being seen. She began, but then Sophia came back down, all eyeliner and perfume and distraction. "God, the weather's a nightmare," she groaned. "Lou, ready?" Louise stood, but her eyes lingered on Alice for a heartbeat longer than they should have. Later that night, Alice sat by the window and watched the rain. She thought of the way Louise moved, the strange glimmer in her eyes that almost looked silver under the hallway light. The way she never ate anything when she came over, no matter how much food their mother offered. The way she seemed to know things Alice had never said aloud. And most of all, she thought of the way her chest tightened when Louise smiled at her. Like it was the first time someone had smiled and actually meant it. Alice didn't know what she was feeling, but she knew it was dangerous. And she didn't care, because for the first time in her life, she wasn't invisible. Louise saw her, and that was terrifying and electric, and she didn't want it to stop. Not ever. The next time Louise came over, it was a Wednesday. Not a weekend, not a party night, just a quiet, ordinary day. And yet, from the moment Alice opened the door and saw her standing there, leather jacket, boots still wet from the drizzle, a single curl of hair sticking to her cheek, it didn't feel ordinary at all. "Hey," Louise said, her voice lower than usual, almost hoarse, like she'd been whispering to ghosts all day. "Sophia home?" "Not yet," Alice replied, feeling her heartbeat thud against her ribs. Louise raised an eyebrow. "Mind if I wait inside?" Alice stepped aside before she could even think about what she was doing. Louise moved past her, and the air shifted again, like it always did. Cooler, heavier. The door shut, and they were alone. Completely, undeniably alone. Louise walked into the living room and paused, as if studying the room, the light, the dust caught in the sunbeams. Then she turned and looked at Alice in that way that made her feel like her soul was being turned inside out. "You look different," she said. Alice blinked. "Different how?" Louise took a step closer. "Like you stopped pretending." "Pretending what?" "That you don't want to be seen." The words hit her like a blow. She didn't know whether to laugh or cry or run, but she did none of those things. She just stood there, her feet rooted to the hardwood floor, her fingers curled tight against her thighs. "Maybe I do," she whispered. "Want to be seen." Louise's eyes darkened. "I already see you, Alice." Silence stretched between them, taut and trembling. Alice looked away first, her cheeks burning. "You always come late," she said, trying to sound casual. "You never show up in the morning." Louise smiled faintly. "I don't like sunlight." "You never eat anything either, even when Mom makes dinner." "I have a sensitive stomach," she said, a flicker of amusement in her eyes. "You ask a lot of questions today." "Maybe I'm curious." Curiosity can be dangerous. So can secrets. That made Louise pause. Her smile faded, and something else slipped into her expression. Something unreadable. "You're smarter than you look," she said. "Most people don't notice those things." "I notice you," Alice said, barely above a breath. Louise looked at her, then really looked, and in that moment everything fell silent. The air, the house, the world. All of it. "You shouldn't," she said softly. "Why?" "Because I'm not safe." The words should have chilled her. They should have made her retreat, put distance between them. But instead, Alice took a step forward. "Then why do I feel safer when you're here?" Louise looked away, jaw tight, hands clenched. "I don't want to hurt you." "You won't. You don't know that." "Then tell me," Alice said, her voice rising, trembling. "Tell me what you're so afraid of." Louise didn't answer. Not at first. She walked toward the window, staring into the thickening dusk. "There are things about me that aren't normal. Things I can't explain. Not yet." "Try." "You wouldn't believe me." "Try anyway." Louise turned. Her eyes met Alice's, and for a fraction of a second, they shimmered. Just barely. Just enough to make Alice's breath hitch. "I can't," she said. "Not now. Not yet. But you have to trust me when I say that getting close to me is dangerous." "Then why are you here?" Alice asked. "Why do you keep coming back?" Louise didn't answer right away. She crossed the room in 2 slow steps until they were close. So close Alice could smell her perfume, something dark and floral and ancient. "Because I can't stay away from you," she whispered. Alice's breath caught. Her chest rose and fell in shallow waves. "Then stop telling me not to feel something when you're the one making me feel it." Louise exhaled like she was in pain. "Alice, you don't have to protect me," she said. "Just be honest with me. Please." But before Louise could respond, the sound of keys turning in the front door broke the spell. They stepped apart instinctively, the moment shattered like glass hitting tile. Sophia walked in, shaking out her umbrella. "Hey, sorry I'm late. Ugh, traffic's a mess. You two weren't bored without me, were you?" Louise's voice was calm when she answered. Too calm. "Not at all." Alice said nothing. Her body was still vibrating from the nearness, the tension, the words that hadn't been said. Later that night, she locked her bedroom door and stared at herself in the mirror. Her cheeks were still flushed. Her lips parted. She looked like someone she didn't recognize. Someone braver. Someone bolder. She thought about the way Louise had looked at her. The rawness in her voice when she said she couldn't stay away. She remembered the glimmer in her eyes, the faint, unnatural shine. And even though it should have scared her, it didn't. It thrilled her. She wanted to see it again. Needed to. In the middle of the night, something woke her. A breeze. A sound. A feeling. She got up, walked to the window, and looked out into the street. There, in the shadows under the tree, stood a figure. Still. Silent. Watching. Louise. She didn't move. She didn't wave. She simply stood there, half swallowed by the darkness. And then, in the faintest sliver of moonlight, her eyes shimmered, silver and unblinking. Alice felt her breath leave her chest. She wasn't dreaming. Louise had been there. And she wasn't just strange. She was something else entirely. Alice should have been terrified. But instead, she pressed her hand to the glass and whispered, "I see you too." And she meant it. Alice couldn't stop thinking about that night, about the way Louise had looked at her through the window, as if she belonged to the darkness, as if the night itself had carved a space just for her. No one else saw it. No one else noticed. To everyone else, Louise was just Sophia's old friend. A little quiet, maybe a little intense, but nothing more. But Alice knew better. She could feel it in her chest, in her bones. Louise was something different. And somehow, impossibly, she was drawn to her like the tide to the moon. The next time they saw each other was at Sophia's house party. Their parents were out of town. The house was too full, the music too loud, and Sophia, as usual, thrived in the chaos. Alice had considered staying in her room all night, headphones on, pretending the world didn't exist. But when she heard the front door open and the unmistakable hush that followed Louise's entrance, something in her snapped. She wanted to see her. Needed to. Alice walked downstairs slowly, careful not to let her heartbeat give her away. The living room was pulsing with bodies, drinks, laughter. But all she saw was Louise, leaning against the kitchen counter, a glass in her hand, untouched. She hadn't changed. Black clothes, boots, that same braid pulled tight over one shoulder. But her eyes, when they found Alice through the crowd, they softened. Just for a second. Just for her. Alice felt like the only real thing in the world. She moved through the party like it didn't matter. Because it didn't. Only Louise did. When she reached her, Louise's voice was low and bemused. "Didn't think you'd come down." "I wasn't going to," Alice admitted. "But then I realized I didn't want to waste tonight." "What makes tonight different?" Louise asked, tilting her head. "You're here." Louise's gaze sharpened, the corners of her lips lifting. "Careful. You're starting to sound like you mean it." "I do." Louise looked away for a moment, the muscle in her jaw tightening. "You don't know what you're saying." I think I do, Alice said. And I think you feel it too. Alice, Louise warned, but it wasn't sharp. It was full of something else. Fear, hunger, longing. Stop pretending, Alice whispered. Just tell me the truth. And what if you don't like it? Then I'll decide for myself. Louise laughed once, short and hollow. You're not afraid of me. Should I be? Yes, she said, eyes flickering with something dangerous. Because I don't want to hurt you, but I don't know if I can stop myself. Then don't hurt me, Alice whispered. Just be with me. For a moment, Louise said nothing, just stared. And then she turned and walked toward the hallway. She didn't say a word, but she didn't have to. Alice followed. The hallway was empty, dimly lit. Louise stopped near the back door, where the music faded into muffled echoes. When Alice reached her, Louise didn't turn. You don't understand what you're asking for, she said. You see me, yes, but only the surface. You don't know what's underneath. Then show me, Alice said. Let me see. Louise finally faced her. Her eyes were darker now. Not brown, not black. Something else. Something unnatural. Alice's breath caught. And still, she didn't look away. I haven't touched anyone in years, Louise whispered. I don't let myself get close. I can't. Because the moment I want something, really want it, I lose control. Then why haven't you run from me? Alice asked. Because you're different, Louise said, voice low and aching. Because you make me want to try again. To be something I'm not. You don't have to be anything else. Just be honest. Louise stared at her like she was made of glass. Like if she touched her, she'd shatter. You make me feel alive again. Then her hand lifted slowly, brushing Alice's cheek, fingertips cold, trembling. Alice closed her eyes. The touch was barely there, but it set her on fire. I'm not who you think I am, Louise said. I'm not just broken. I'm dangerous. You keep saying that, Alice whispered, but you're not scaring me. You should be terrified. Then why are you shaking? Louise's hand dropped, and she stepped back like she'd burned herself. Because I want you, she breathed. And I can't want you. But you do. Yes. The word fell from her lips like surrender. And it's going to destroy me. Alice moved toward her. Close enough to feel her breath. Then let it. Louise didn't kiss her, but she almost did. Her lips hovered a breath away. Her eyes searched Alice's, desperate, tormented. And then a door opened down the hall, and voices spilled in, and the moment cracked. Louise pulled back fast. Too fast. Go back inside, she said. Act normal. Please. What about you? I need air. Louise, don't follow me. And then she was gone. Out the back door, swallowed by night. Alice stood there, breathless, shaking, wanting. She waited an hour. Then 2. But Louise didn't come back. When she finally climbed the stairs, the party still buzzing below, her heart felt like it wasn't hers anymore. It belonged to something else now. Someone else. That night, she dreamed of dark forests and silver eyes. She dreamed of lips brushing hers and a voice whispering her name like it was sacred. When she woke, her window was open. She was sure she'd closed it. And on her windowsill, something small rested. A black flower, velvet soft, cold to the touch. Alice held it to her chest and whispered into the dark, "Come back." But the night gave no answer. Alice hadn't seen Louise in days. Not since the night of the party. Not since she had disappeared into the shadows and left behind a flower darker than night. The absence settled into her like a second skin. Tight, aching, constant. Every sound at the front door made her pulse spike. Every voice outside made her look up. But it was never her. Louise had vanished. Again. And the more Alice tried to convince herself it didn't mean anything, the more hollow the lie became. Louise wasn't just a girl. She wasn't just a crush. She was a storm that had passed through Alice's life and changed the weather forever. On the 4th night, the silence became unbearable. Alice stood in her room, heart pounding, fingers trembling as she pulled on her jacket and slipped out the back door. She didn't know where she was going, only that she had to move, had to find her. The town felt wrong. Too quiet, too still. The streetlights flickered as she passed. The wind whispered like it carried secrets. She walked with no destination, only instinct, her boots echoing on the empty pavement. And then, just as she turned the corner near the woods, she felt it. A presence. Not seen, not heard, felt. Her skin prickled. Her breath caught. She turned slowly. Louise stood beneath a dying street lamp, half-shadowed, eyes unreadable. Her face was pale, drawn tight with something Alice couldn't name. Fear? Hunger? Guilt? "You shouldn't be here," she said. Her voice sounded different, strained, lower, as if it cost her to speak. "Neither should you," Alice replied. Louise didn't move. "I told you not to follow me. And I told you I see you," Alice whispered. "All of you." "No," Louise said, shaking her head. "You only see what I let you. And I'm running out of strength to keep pretending." "Then stop pretending." "Alice, please," she said, stepping forward. "I don't care what it is. Just tell me. Show me. I'm not afraid. You should be." "But I'm not." Louise's lips parted, her breath uneven. "You think you're in love with me, but you don't even know what I am." "Then tell me." "You won't believe it. Try me." Silence fell between them, thick and trembling. Then Louise's eyes flicked to the woods behind her. She turned and walked in without another word. Alice hesitated only for a second before following. The trees swallowed them. The moon barely touched the ground. Everything smelled like damp earth and danger. Louise stopped in a small clearing, the silence pressing in like a hand around Alice's throat. "This is where I come to remember who I am," Louise said softly. "Where I come to fight it." "Fight what?" Louise turned, and this time, she didn't hold back. Her eyes were glowing. Not metaphorically, actually glowing, silver and cold and endless. Her breath came in sharp bursts, visible in the night air. Her teeth just barely seemed sharper. Not fangs exactly. Not yet, but almost. "I'm not human," she said. "Not really. Not anymore." Alice didn't move. Her pulse thundered in her ears. But she didn't flinch. "How long have you known?" she asked. Louise laughed bitterly. "Too long. Long enough to learn how to lie. How to fake it. How to hide the parts of me that make people run." "You've never hurt anyone?" "Not since I changed," she said. "Not on purpose. But I don't know how much longer I can keep control." "Why me?" Alice asked. "Why do I feel different with you?" Louise stepped closer. "Because you make me remember what it felt like to want something before it came with a cost." "Do you want me?" Alice whispered. "More than anything," Louise said. "But I can't touch you. I can't get close. You don't understand how hard it is to be near you. You smell like warmth, like life. And still you keep coming back." "Because I'm selfish," she said. "Because when I'm with you, I feel alive again. And I don't want to lose that, even if it kills me." "What if I don't care?" "You should." "But I don't." Louise's voice broke. "You're too good, too soft. I don't deserve you." "Maybe I don't care about what you deserve," Alice said. "Maybe I just want you." Louise stared at her like she was breaking, like every word Alice spoke was a wound. And then finally, she stepped forward. Her hands reached up, slowly, trembling, and touched Alice's face. Cold. So cold. But gentle. Reverent. "If I kiss you," she whispered, "I might not stop." "Then don't." Her lips brushed Alice's, and everything else disappeared. The wind, the cold, the fear, the past, it all burned away. The kiss was soft at first, tentative, full of restraint. But then something snapped. Louise pulled her closer, hands in Alice's hair, mouth hungry, desperate. Alice didn't care that the trees were watching, that the ground was frozen, that her body was pressed against something dangerous. All she knew was that Louise was real, and she was kissing her like she'd waited centuries to do it. When they finally broke apart, breathless, Shaking, Louise pressed her forehead to Alice's. I shouldn't want you like this. But you do. God help me, I do. They stood like that for minutes. Hours. Alice didn't know. Time didn't exist in that place. Only heat. Only heartbeat. Only her. But then something shifted. The wind stopped. The woods fell silent. And Louise froze. We need to go, she said. Now. Why? What is it? Someone's watching us. Who? Louise looked behind her, eyes scanning the trees. Not who. What? Alice turned, but saw nothing. Only shadows. But they felt heavier now. Denser. She reached for Louise's hand, and for the first time, Louise let her hold it. We're not alone, are we? No, Louise said. And if they saw me with you, they'll come for you next. Then we run together, Alice said. Louise looked at her like she wanted to believe it. Like she wanted to believe she wasn't alone anymore. Then she nodded. And they ran. They didn't stop running until they were deep in the woods, beyond the trees Alice thought she knew, past the familiar paths and into a part of the forest that felt older, wilder. Louise finally slowed, her breath shallow but steady, her eyes still scanning the darkness around them. Alice's hand was still in hers, fingers locked tight, and neither of them let go. What was that? Alice asked, her voice trembling more from adrenaline than fear. Something I hoped would never come this close to you, Louise said. Something like me? Another vampire? The word felt ridiculous in her mouth, like she was trying on a costume that didn't quite fit. But Louise didn't flinch. She nodded slowly. Not just another. Worse. Hungrier. And it knows you matter to me now. Why would that make me a target? Because love makes you weak. It makes you reckless. And that thing feeds on weakness. So we fight it. Louise let out a bitter laugh. You think this is some kind of fairy tale, Alice? That I'm some tortured monster with a heart of gold, and we just slay the bad guy, and everything's fine. Isn't that exactly what you are? No, she said sharply. I've done things. Terrible things. I've hurt people. I've fed when I shouldn't. I've killed. There's blood on my hands I'll never wash off. You don't get to love me like I'm human. I don't love you because I think you're human, Alice said. I love you because you try to stop. Because you let yourself feel again. Because you didn't run when you saw me. You don't love me. Then why does it feel like I can't breathe when you're not near me? Louise looked away, jaw clenched, her body tense like she was holding something back, something feral and raw. You don't know what you're saying. Then explain it to me. Louise turned to her, her eyes reflecting just enough light to glow faintly. I was turned 74 years ago, she said. I was 17. I didn't ask for it. I didn't want it. But I was angry, lonely, invisible, just like you. And he found me, told me I could be powerful, that I could matter. And he lied. Who? His name doesn't matter now. He's gone. But the things he taught me, the hunger, the control, the cruelty, it stays. I left that life. I've tried to live among people again. Pretend I'm normal. But it doesn't go away. The hunger is always there. Every minute. Especially when I'm near you. Why? Because you're alive in a way I've never seen. You're all warmth and heart and honesty. And I haven't touched anything pure in so long I forgot what it felt like. I crave you. Not just your blood, your presence, your light, and that makes me dangerous. Then why haven't you hurt me? Because I'd rather die than hurt you. Alice stepped closer, her chest rising and falling rapidly. Then stop trying to scare me away. Because I'm not leaving. You said it yourself. You can't stay away from me. And I can't stay away from you. I dream of you, Louise whispered, every night. And in those dreams, I kiss you without fear. I hold you without shaking. But when I wake up, I remember what I am. And I'm terrified I'll ruin you. You won't. You don't know that. Then let me decide what risks I want to take. Louise stared at her, expression unraveling, piece by piece. I don't deserve you. You keep saying that. Alice said, stepping so close she could feel the cold coming off Louise's skin. But maybe I'm not here because you deserve me. Maybe I'm here because I choose you, even if it's hard, even if it's dark. Louise's lips parted, but no sound came out. Her hand rose slowly, brushing against Alice's collarbone, tracing the line of her neck. I could take you right now, she whispered. I could drink from you, and you wouldn't even scream. I know, Alice said, but you won't. How can you be sure? Because you're still asking permission. That broke something in Louise. Her mouth crashed into Alice's with a desperation that was almost violent, but her hands remained gentle. They kissed like the world was ending, like everything unsaid had been building up for years instead of weeks. Louise kissed her like she was starving, and maybe she was. But it wasn't just hunger. It was grief, longing, hope. Alice kissed her back with all of it, with her whole self, letting go of fear, of doubt, of logic. Nothing made sense except this, except her. They didn't notice the sky darken further. They didn't notice the sound of branches breaking far in the distance. But Louise pulled back suddenly, panting, eyes wide. He's here, she said. The one who turned you? No. Worse. One of his. A predator. He's followed my scent, and now he's found yours. What does he want? To punish me. To take you. To remind me what happens when someone like me loves something. Alice's blood ran cold. Then we don't let him. Alice, this isn't a fight we can win. Not without consequences. Then let there be consequences. I'm not leaving you. He'll use your love against me. Then don't let him win. Louise looked at her, overwhelmed, the storm inside her raging against the edges of her control. If I lose you, you won't. You're not afraid. I am. But I want you more than I fear him. Louise took her hand again. Then stay with me. No matter what you see. No matter what I become to stop him. I will. Promise me. I swear. From somewhere deep in the forest, a voice rose. Low. Full. Mocking. How touching, it said. But love never saved anyone. Louise turned, pulling Alice behind her, her eyes glowing brighter now, silver and sharp. Stay behind me, Louise. Let me protect you. And then the trees opened, and the darkness stepped forward. And Alice realized, for the first time, that being in love with a vampire didn't mean being afraid of her. It meant being afraid of what would try to take her away. The figure that emerged from the trees wasn't what Alice expected. He looked human, handsome even. Blonde hair slicked back, sharp cheekbones, dressed in a long, dark coat that didn't touch the dirt. But the second his eyes landed on her, she knew. He wasn't like Louise. He wasn't trying to be. His presence was suffocating, cold, like something ancient had crawled into the shape of a man and decided to smile. So, he said, voice like silk dragged across broken glass, this is the little heartbeat. Louise stepped in front of Alice, shoulders squared, hands clenched. She's not yours. Don't speak to her. Oh, but she smells like you, the man said, circling them slowly. Like want, like weakness, like you fed without feeding. I haven't touched her, Louise growled. Not like that. Yet, he said, his grin widening. But you will. And when you do, you'll destroy her. You always do. Get out, Louise said, her voice trembling with rage. This is your last warning. You forget, girl, he said, stepping closer. You belong to us. You don't get to warn me. I don't belong to anyone. You made a vow, blood for blood. You broke it. I left because I wanted more. And now you've cursed her with your hunger. You've marked her. She chose me, Louise snapped. You can't take that from me. I can take anything I want. And then he moved. Fast. Faster than Alice could see. 1 second, he was across the clearing. The next, he was inches from her. But before his hand could reach her face, Louise was between them, slamming him back with a force that cracked the air. The ground shook. Trees bent. And Alice realized Louise had been holding back all this time. The man hit the dirt hard but rose effortlessly, brushing soil from his coat. "There she is," he hissed. "The little beast. Finally showing your teeth." "If you ever touch her again," Louise said, voice like ice, "I'll rip your throat out." "Do it," he said, his smile returning. "Let her see what you really are." Louise's body was shaking now, not with fear, but fury. Her eyes blazed silver, brighter than ever. Her lips parted, and Alice saw them. Fangs. Real ones. Not subtle, not hidden. Sharp and beautiful and terrifying. "Louise," Alice whispered. Louise turned to her slowly, eyes full of pain. "Don't look at me." "Why not?" "Because I'm losing control." "Then let me help." "I can't." "You can," Alice said, stepping forward, wrapping her fingers around Louise's hand. "You're not alone." Behind them, the man snarled. "She's not helping you. She's binding you, making you weak." "No," Alice said, lifting her chin. "She's not weak. She's choosing not to kill you, and that takes more strength than you'll ever understand." "You'll regret this," he spat. "She'll drink from you. She'll break you. Then let her," Alice said. "I'm not afraid." Louise groaned like it physically hurt her. "Don't say that." "Why?" Alice asked, turning to her. "Because it makes you want me more?" "Because I don't know if I can stop." "Then don't." Louise's hand shot out, grabbing the man by the throat in one brutal movement. Her voice dropped to a growl. "If you ever come near her again, I'll tear you apart and bury the pieces so deep even hell won't find them." The man's grin faltered. "She's made you soft. She's made me strong." And then, in a blur, Louise slammed him into the tree behind him. There was a sickening crunch, and the forest trembled. He didn't get up. Louise turned back to Alice, panting, her eyes still glowing. "Are you hurt?" "No," Alice said. "But you are." Louise's shoulders slumped. "I told you I was dangerous. And I told you I didn't care." "You should." "You still haven't fed," Alice said softly. "Not even after that. Because if I do, I don't know if I'll stop." Alice stepped closer. "Then take a little. Just enough. I trust you. Don't tempt me." "I'm not tempting you. I'm offering." Louise backed away, trembling. "Alice, do you want me?" "More than anything." "Then show me." Louise's body shuddered once, and then she moved. Her arms wrapped around Alice like a wave pulling her under. She pressed her lips to Alice's neck, breathing her in. "Last chance to change your mind," she whispered. "I won't." And then, with one sharp breath, she sank her teeth in. The pain was brief, a sting, and then it was something else entirely. Heat, euphoria, connection. Alice gasped, but not in fear. Her hands clutched at Louise's back, holding her close as the world blurred. She could feel Louise's hunger, her restraint, the war inside her. But she didn't pull away. She didn't want to. When it was over, Louise pulled back, eyes wet with something that looked too much like sorrow. "You taste like fire," she said. "You feel like home," Alice replied. "What happens now?" "Now," Louise whispered. "Now they'll come for you too. Then let them." "You're marked, Alice. They'll never stop hunting you." "Good. Let them try." Louise stared at her like she was seeing something holy, something impossible. "You're not afraid of me. I'm afraid of losing you." Louise touched her face, gently, reverently. "Then stay close. No matter what comes. Always." And as they stood there, blood between them, danger circling in the shadows, Alice realized that nothing would ever be the same again. But for the first time in her life, she didn't feel invisible. She felt powerful, wanted, chosen. Even if the world turned against them, she would stay. Because love like this didn't come twice. And even if Louise was a monster, she was hers. The days that followed blurred together. Alice didn't go to school. She barely slept. The world outside her window kept turning. Cars passed, people laughed. Her family kept pretending nothing was wrong, but she felt like she had crossed a threshold she could never come back from. And she didn't want to. Every night, Louise returned. Sometimes for only a few minutes. Sometimes for hours. Always after dark. Always through the window. She moved like she belonged in the night, her silhouette blending into the shadows before Alice even heard the soft tap on the glass. And each time Alice opened it, her heart beat faster, not with fear, but with need. They talked. They touched. They kissed like time owed them something. But they never fed again. Not since that first night in the forest. Louise refused. Once was already too much, she'd whisper, brushing her thumb along the faint mark on Alice's neck. If I do it again, I won't stop. You will, Alice would say. You did. Barely. You're stronger than you think. But even as she said it, she saw the cracks. Louise was changing. Her hunger was louder now, closer to the surface. She shook when she kissed Alice. She flinched from warmth. Her eyes darkened faster. And she was always listening, head tilted toward the silence, as if she heard something Alice couldn't. They're getting closer, she said one night. I don't know how many, but they're trained. They'll come for me first. But if they find you with me, then we run. There's nowhere far enough. Then we fight. You're not like me, Alice. You don't understand what they do to girls who love monsters. I don't care what they do. I care about you. Louise looked at her like that was the worst thing she could have said. Don't you get it? She snapped. I'm the reason they're coming. If they hurt you, it'll be because of me. Then stop pushing me away and let me help you. Louise exhaled hard, stepping back, her whole body taut with emotion she couldn't afford to feel. I don't know how to protect you and love you at the same time. Then don't choose. Do both. But the next day, Alice found a note on her windowsill. For words, written in shaky ink. I have to disappear. She didn't cry. She didn't scream. She didn't even move for what felt like hours. Then she folded the note and placed it inside her sketchbook. And that night, she didn't sleep. She waited. The next day, the next night, nothing. No sound. No shadow. No Louise. But something else came. It was nearly 3 a.m. when Alice heard it. Heavy footsteps outside her house. Not normal footsteps. Not neighbors. Not drunk teens. These steps were deliberate. Armed. She got up quietly and crept to the window. 2 men in long coats stood beneath the streetlight, their backs to her, speaking in low voices. One held a strange silver device that pulsed faintly. The other lifted something small to his face, a vial. He sniffed it, and Alice saw his eyes flash gold. Hunters. They weren't guessing. They were tracking. And they were close. She didn't think. She grabbed her jacket, slipped on her boots, and was out the back door before her mind caught up with her body. The forest was silent, but her heart wasn't. It screamed. Louise had disappeared. But maybe not far. Maybe she was watching. Maybe she was protecting her in silence. Maybe a hand grabbed her from behind. She yelped, twisting instinctively, but the grip was familiar. Cold. Gentle. It's me, Louise whispered, her voice raw with panic. You shouldn't be out here. Neither should you, Alice breathed. They're here. They're watching the house. I know, she said. I've been leading them in circles. But they're closing in. Then we go. Now. I told you to forget me. And I told you I won't. Louise looked at her for a long moment, her jaw clenched. Then she pulled Alice into her arms, holding her so tight it almost hurt. I'm so scared I'm going to lose you. You won't. They don't just kill vampires, she whispered. They use people like you to get to us. They'll hurt you to break me. Then don't let them. Don't give them the chance. We can't fight them all. Then run with me. We'll find somewhere. Anywhere. I can't run forever. Then stand and fight. With me. Louise pulled back just enough to look her in the eyes. If I lose you, I'll become the thing they already believe I am. You won't lose me. Promise me, she whispered. No matter what happens, don't let them turn you against me. I couldn't if I tried. They're trained to lie, to manipulate. They'll tell you things about me, things I've done. I don't care about who you were. I care about who you are with me. Louise's expression broke. Then there's something you need to see. She led Alice through the woods, deeper than they'd ever gone, until they reached a clearing surrounded by dead trees. In the center, a circle of ash. A memory, a scar. "This is where I killed him," Louise said. "The one who turned me." Alice's breath caught. "You killed him. He was never going to let me go. He thought he owned me. So I made sure he'd never touch another girl again. You were protecting yourself. I was avenging every girl he drained until she didn't even remember her own name. Then I'm proud of you." Louise blinked, stunned. "You're not afraid? Of you? Never." A sound echoed through the trees. Metal clicking. Footsteps. Voices. Too close. "They found us," Louise said, eyes glowing. "How many?" "3. "Then let's make them regret it." Louise turned, fangs out, body coiled. But Alice grabbed her arm. "Wait. Let me try something first." "Alice, trust me." And then she stepped out of the trees, straight into the clearing, her hands raised. "I know what you are," one of the hunters said, stepping forward. "Do you? I know she's not what you think. She drank from you. She's already turned you." "She didn't. And she won't. She's dangerous." "So are you. You're protecting a predator." "No," Alice said. "I'm protecting the only person who's ever seen me." The man raised his weapon. "Step aside." "Shoot me, and she'll tear you apart. You'd die for her?" "I'd bleed for her," Alice said. Again and again. Behind her, Louise stepped into the clearing. Her voice was quiet. "She's mine, and I won't let you touch her." The hunter paused, then smiled. "Then let's see what you'll do when we aim at her heart." And in one breathless moment, the world exploded into motion. Time collapsed. One of the hunters raised his weapon. Alice saw the flash of silver before she could move, before she could scream. But Louise was faster, inhumanly fast. She was a blur of motion, a storm in black. The weapon never fired. Instead, the hunter's body slammed into the nearest tree with a crack so loud it made Alice flinch. Blood sprayed across bark. The second hunter stepped forward, unsheathing something glowing, blades infused with something holy, something that burned just by being near it. "Run, Alice," Louise shouted, voice distorted by rage and fear, but Alice didn't move. She wouldn't. Not now. Not ever. The third hunter appeared from behind, grabbing Alice by the arm, yanking her backward, hard. She cried out, kicked, twisted, but he was strong, trained, and merciless. "She's already claimed you," he hissed into her ear. "That makes you fair game." And then Louise was there. She didn't say a word. She didn't warn him. She ripped him off Alice with a snarl that wasn't human. Her eyes glowed brighter than ever, her fangs bared, her voice a low growl that shook the air around them. "Don't touch her." Then her teeth sank into his neck. Not like before. Not gentle. Not controlled. She fed like she'd waited a century. The man screamed. And then he didn't. He crumpled to the ground, lifeless. Alice stared, frozen. Not in fear. In awe. In horror. In love. Louise turned to her, mouth stained red, chest heaving. "I told you not to watch. You saved me. I slaughtered him. Because he would have killed me." Louise stepped back. "I told you. This is what I am." "Then I choose you anyway." But her words were cut off by a sudden pain in her side. A scream. Her scream. She looked down. A blade. Buried deep in her ribs. Silver. Burning. The second hunter had struck, while she was distracted. She collapsed to her knees. The world tilted. Cold rushed in. Louise screamed her name. The trees spun. Hands caught her. Held her. "No, no, 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 no," Louise whispered, pulling the blade out with trembling hands, tossing it aside. "Stay with me. Stay awake. Look at me." Alice tried. Her vision blurred. The pain was fire. You said I'd be safe, she gasped. You are. You are. I've got you. Louise, I'm here. I'm not leaving you. The hunter approached again, weapon ready. But Louise was already on him. This time, she didn't hold back. She didn't care about mercy. She tore into him with teeth and claws, every inch of her body screaming vengeance. It was fast, violent, beautiful in a way Alice couldn't describe. When it was over, he lay broken, gone. Louise ran back to her, lifting her gently, pressing her hand to the wound. It's bad, she whispered. You need a hospital. No, Alice. You said your venom could heal. If you drank. No. I can't risk turning you. Then let me die? I can't lose you. Then do it. Louise hesitated. I don't know how to stop once I start. Then trust me like I trust you. Alice, please. I'm not afraid of you. I love you. That broke her. The last defense shattered. Louise lowered her head, kissed her once, soft, trembling, then bit. The pain was nothing compared to the fire that followed. Her blood flowed, and with it, something else, something cold, ancient, electric. Alice convulsed, gasped, clutched Louise's shirt with both fists. Her heart thundered. Her breath faltered. Louise pulled back before it was too late. Stay with me, she whispered. Please, don't go. Alice's eyes fluttered. Her mouth moved. A whisper. Yours. Then darkness. Nothing. Louise screamed into the night, carried her through trees, through fog, through silence, hid her, held her, fed her one drop at a time, careful, praying, shaking. Hours passed, maybe days. Alice didn't wake. Her skin was cold, her pulse barely there. Louise sat beside her, covered in blood, staring into the void. If you die, she said, voice raw, I'll burn the whole world. Then in the silence, a breath, a twitch, a sigh. Alice's fingers curled weakly. Louise looked down, terrified to believe. But Alice opened her eyes, slowly, dazed, glowing faintly. Hi, she rasped. Louise choked on a sob. Don't ever do that again. You saved me. You saved me first. Do I feel different? You feel like fire, Louise whispered. And I love you. Still dangerous? Always. Good, Alice said, eyes fluttering shut again. Because I am too. Louise held her close, kissed her forehead, and swore. If the world wanted to take Alice from her again, it would have to kill her first. Alice dreamed in pieces. Shadows, voices, memories, fractured and glowing. She saw her own hands covered in blood that wasn't hers. She heard her name on Louise's lips, over and over, a broken prayer. She felt the way her heart had stopped and started again, not with panic, but purpose. When she woke, the world was quieter than it had ever been. She could hear everything, leaves breathing in the wind, birds blinking in their nests, the soft crackle of Louise's heartbeat beside her. And she could feel her, not just beside her, but inside her, like their blood had tangled into something irreversible. Louise sat still, watching her, red-rimmed eyes locked on her face like if she blinked, Alice might disappear. You came back, she whispered. Alice nodded slowly, her body sore, but strangely sharp. I don't feel like I left. You weren't breathing, Louise said, for hours. But I am now. You're not fully turned. I stopped before it took over. But the venom, it changed you. You're stronger. You'll heal faster. You'll feel more. I already do. Alice sat up, every sense alive. She could feel Louise's worry, her hunger, her love, all of it humming in the air between them. You taste like thunder, she said softly. Like something I was always meant to hold. Louise looked like she might break. You don't regret it? You didn't do this to me. I chose it. I chose you. Alice, no more apologies, she said, reaching out, brushing her fingers down Louise's cheek. You warned me. You begged me to run. I stayed. And now I feel like I finally fit inside my own skin. Louise closed her eyes, leaning into her touch. You're not human anymore. Not completely. Good. They'll know. They'll sense it. You've crossed into something you can't undo. Then let them come. You're not afraid anymore. No, Alice said. But they should be. The next night they moved. It wasn't safe to stay near the house. Too many eyes. Too much blood. Louise had a place, an old sanctuary, buried under ruins outside the edge of town. It smelled like stone and fire and memory. Alice felt like she belonged there instantly. For days they stayed hidden. Louise taught her what she could, how to channel her senses, how to listen to the hunger but not obey it, how to move without sound. And all the while, their bond deepened. They didn't sleep much. Their bodies pressed together in the dark, hands tracing new skin, mouths learning each other in silence. Alice burned for her, not just with lust but with purpose, with the knowing that they were made for this. One night, while the stars bled through the cracked ceiling, Alice whispered, "What are we now?" Louise looked at her. Alive. Barely. You and me. Something they'll try to destroy. But they can't, right? Not if we fight together. That night, Louise let her feed for the first time. It wasn't like before. There was no pain. Only hunger. Pleasure. A single cut, a drop of blood, and Alice kissed it away like a promise. The world tilted. Their breath synced. And when they kissed, it wasn't a kiss. It was claiming. The next morning, the ruins burned. Alice smelled the smoke first. Then the fire. Then the scent of silver and ash. Louise grabbed her hand, eyes wide. They found us. They ran. Through woods. Through rivers. Through stone and shadow. But they didn't make it far. 3 figures blocked their path. Hunters. Older. Dressed in red. The kind who didn't miss. Step away from her. One said to Louise. Now. No. Louise said, placing herself in front of Alice. You're too late. We saw the girl's transformation. We know what she is. She's mine, Louise growled. And if you touch her, we'll purify you both. Try, Alice said, stepping beside Louise. But you won't survive it. The hunters laughed. You think just because you survived the turn you're one of them? No, Alice said, eyes darkening. I'm something new. Something you made when you pushed too far. They struck first. Fast. Ruthless. But Alice moved faster. Her body responded before her mind. She tore through the first hunter like wind through paper, throwing him into the trees with a roar that didn't sound human. Louise took the second, teeth to throat. The third came for Alice, knife drawn, silver-tipped, but she caught his wrist midair and smiled. You should have left me invisible. Then she snapped his arm, and his scream echoed through the forest. When it was over, she stood in the blood and silence, chest heaving, hands shaking. I didn't mean to. They deserved it, Louise said, walking to her, brushing blood from her cheek. You protected us. I liked it, Alice whispered. That moment. The power. You're changing. Into what? Into someone they'll fear, Louise said. Into someone they can't touch. Alice kissed her then. Hard, messy, hungry. Whatever I become, she whispered. It'll be for you. No, Louise said. It'll be for us. They stood there as dawn threatened the horizon, blood on their skin, fire in their veins. For the first time, Alice didn't wonder who she was. She knew. She was in love with a vampire. She had bled for her, killed for her, burned the past behind her, and she would do it again, 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 because what Louise gave her wasn't a curse. It was clarity, a kind of life too big for rules, too bright for shame, too dangerous to name, and still hers. They didn't run anymore. Not because the danger was gone, but because it didn't matter. They had crossed every line. Blood had been spilled. Secrets exposed. Alice was no longer a girl hiding behind her sister's shadow. She wasn't soft-spoken, trembling, waiting to be seen. She had become something else. something powerful, haunted, and holy in the way only people who choose love over safety can be. Louise stood beside her, as she always had, hands stained with the past, eyes filled with everything she didn't say but felt in every breath. Their bond wasn't fragile anymore. It was forged, in blood, in fire, in choice. "They're gathering," Louise said, staring out over the edge of the cliff, where the forest bled into mist. "I can feel them. More than hunters now. Elders. Enforcers." "Let them come," Alice said, stepping beside her, arms crossed, body calm. "We've faced worse." "Not like this," Louise whispered. "They'll want your blood. You're unnatural. Half-turned. Half-human. They'll see you as an abomination. Then I'll show them what abomination means." Louise turned to her, her expression fractured. "You shouldn't have to fight this battle. You didn't ask for any of it." "But I chose it," Alice said. "You. Us. I'd choose it again. Even now. Especially now." Louise reached out and cupped her cheek. "I thought I was cursed, that I'd destroy everything I touched." "You didn't destroy me," Alice said, eyes locked on hers. "You set me free." That night, they didn't sleep. They held each other in silence, their bodies pressed together like armor. Not for lust, not for comfort, for truth, for grounding, for memory, because what they had wasn't fleeting. It wasn't fragile. It was earned. When the sun rose, the world changed. 5 figures waited at the edge of the trees. Not hunters. These were older. Older than governments. Older than language. Their eyes glowed with the weight of centuries. Their skin shimmered like it had forgotten how to be mortal. Alice stepped forward before Louise could stop her. "I know what you want," she said. "You think I'm a threat. That what I am shouldn't exist." One of them stepped forward. "You are a rupture. You blur the lines. You should not have survived." "But I did." "She broke our law," another hissed. "She turned you without completing the rite. Your blood is wrong." "Then maybe your laws are wrong." "You speak boldly for something half-made. I speak like someone who's finally awake." "You are dangerous," the tallest one said. "And she is guilty." Louise moved forward then slowly, deliberately. "Then take me," she said. "Let her go." "You would die for her?" "Without question. Even now, when she could turn on you, drink you dry, kill what's left of your soul." Louise smiled. "She already owns it." The elders whispered to each other in a language Alice didn't know. The air thickened. The light dimmed. Then the tallest one turned to her. "Drink from her," he said. "Now." "What?" Louise stepped in front. "No, if she is yours," he said. "Then show us. Complete the bond. Share blood under the sun. Let the world see what you are. Or we kill her, and you both vanish from history." "She's not ready." "I am," Alice said. Louise looked at her, terrified. "Alice, I trust you. But once it's done, we're bound forever. You'll feel me even when I'm not there. My pain, my hunger, my guilt. And your love," Alice whispered. "Yes." "Then do it." The elders watched, silent, waiting. Louise reached for her slowly, her hands trembling. She kissed Alice first, slow, reverent, final. Then she bit, gently, carefully, and when Alice's blood touched her tongue, something in the world cracked open. Light burst through the clouds. The wind roared. Alice cried out, not in pain, but release. It was like fire, like music, like falling and flying at once. Louise opened her own wrist and offered it to Alice. Without hesitation, she drank. Their blood mixed. Their hearts synced. And when it was done, they stood in silence, bound by something older than death. "You are no longer half," the elder said. "You are something new." "She is mine," Louise said. "And I am hers." The elders stepped back and vanished, like mist burned away by dawn. Alice collapsed into Louise's arms, laughing, crying, alive. "We did it," she whispered. "You did it," Louise said. "No," Alice murmured. We survived them. But now we live for us. And from that moment on, they did. They disappeared from the world that tried to burn them down, changed names, built a life far from cities, from war. Some called them legends. Others called them lies. But at the center of every myth, there was a truth. Two girls, one love, blood and fire and choice. Not human, not monster, just each other. And for the rest of their endless nights, they never stopped choosing one another.